I'm giving up on women. It's just too painful. From now on, I'm just going to get my head down, work on my career, work on the gym, and leave it at that. If you're a guy, you've probably heard one of your friends say this at some point. Maybe you've heard yourself say it at some point. But either way, this is an extremely common mentality that a lot of guys have about their dating life. They'll run into some trouble with their dating life. Maybe they'll get dumped by their partner, or maybe they'll just find that no matter what they do, they're never attracting the girl that they want, and they'll just throw their arms in the air and say, "I give up. I'm not going to focus on this anymore." Instead, I'm going to put my energies in something productive, like the gym, like work. Leave it at that. I've been there myself, and there's a lot of good about this mentality. However, I don't currently follow this way of thinking. I think it's quite flawed, and I think in this video I'm going to do my best to kind of explain why I think it's not the best attitude to have about your dating life. I think I think there's a much better way that I'm going to try and explain to you guys in this video. But first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what appears to me to be the reasons why people get in this mentality where they're like, I'm just fed up with women, I'm just going to focus on the gym, or I'm just going to focus on work. What's behind that? Why do people think like that? Well, I think the first reason why people get on this sort of mentality, funnily enough, is because the conventional wisdom is that it actually does get you girls. If you're, it's what a lot of the self-improvement people say, it's what a lot of the red pillers say, if you're focusing on the gym and you got a lot, you're working in your business, you're working on a career, you got good money, then, don't worry about the women. They'll just come naturally as a byproduct of that. And there's a lot of truth in this. Another reason, I think, which is I personally think slightly more significant, slightly more deeper motivation, is that it's less painful that way. If you just turn your back on women and just focus on the productive things, then you don't have to deal with the pain of women. You don't have to deal with the pain of heartbreak or the pain of being rejected by a girl that you like. There's something very mysterious about feminine energy that if you're a typically masculine guy, you're going to be attracted to. There's something very attractive about that. There's something mysterious about it. It can't be made sense of in the same way that the gym can, or a business, or a computer game, Like, if you put effort into the gym, you will improve. If you do a really good session, you're going to feel sick after that session. If you dedicate yourself to the gym for a long period of time and you eat well, you will look better. Same with the business. It may be slightly more long term. Maybe you need to dedicate yourself to a business for a year, 2 years, but eventually you'll see results. Same with a career. But love, like romantic relationships, it's not quite that simple. You can go out on a night out, like wearing nice clothes, maybe you've had a trim beforehand, like you smell good, you're wearing some aftershave, and you think you're a charm itself. It still doesn't mean you're necessarily going to find someone you're attracted to that night, or that's attracted to you. Or you could have a really good relationship, you both really love each other, but then, like, suddenly just she turns her back on you and she leaves. This is an incredibly common experience for a lot of guys to go through, both of these things. And it's extremely painful. And it doesn't make sense, a lot of the time. You think, I've done everything I can, and it still doesn't work. There's something mysterious about it. This problem doesn't occur with the gym, or a business. Like I say, you put in the hours, it's hard, it's painful, but you will see the results. It's not so with romantic relationships. It's slightly more complicated. It's slightly more weird. And if you don't understand how these relationships work, and like feminine energy that you're attracted to and stuff like that, like it's you're just gonna be really confused by it, and be very motivated to turn your back on it. So I think those are the two main reasons why people go to this sort of attitude. And I'm going to start by I'm going to sort of explain what I think is the problem with these things. So my main problem with this is it's not a very holistic attitude to life and dating. And I think it's a bit of a simplification to say that just money and muscles will get you there with women. It'll get you a long way for sure. Like if you've, like, lots of people can testify to this. You know, if you've got an attractive body, you're going to look like a guy who's like worth his salt. You know, if you've got a good business up and running or you've got a good career, like, yeah, that's definitely an advantage. But I just think there are so many instances of people who have had all these things, you know, who've had a good career, you know, very high status in their job, very attractive, you know, good physique, and they still haven't got a good love life at the end of it. You know, I mean, I'm sure you'll be able to think of your own examples because there are so many. But Will Smith is a great example, you know, very respected in his field, unbelievably wealthy, you know, he's not a bodybuilder, but he's got very good physique, you know, well dressed, incredibly good looking, you know, he's still got cheeses on, you know. I'm just not really convinced it's as simple as just build your value as a man, you know. There's an element to it that's absolutely undeniable, yeah, like definitely build yourself up as a man, but the more I look into this kind of spiritual side of relationships, or not even spiritual, but just like the more I treat relationships as something to be focused on in its own right, you know, the more I see like there's another step that you got to look into with women that's beyond just building up your worth as a man. And the other thing is there are lots of examples of people who don't have a lot of money, who aren't classically, you know, haven't got a massive physique, but still are very attractive to women. I mean, I'm not suggesting any of you guys do this because I don't think it's a really good way of going about it, but, you know, if you read a book like The Game, you know, you had these pickup artists who were, you know, not very attractive at all. Like, sure, you know, they look-maxed as best they could, you know, but they weren't hugely muscular, they weren't eminently good-looking or any of that, but they, you know, they really studied the science of pickup, and clearly they just triggered something that was attractive about to women, you know, beyond status, beyond money, beyond physique, you know. I mean, if you look at, what's the guy called? The name escapes me, the guy who wrote it, but if you go and Google him, like, you know, he's a good-looking guy, but he's not some sort of Tristan Tate character, you know. But clearly he's learnt something about attractiveness that goes beyond what people teach, what people say in the manosphere. So yeah, that's the first thing. Is not as simple as that. You know, it's not as simple as just focusing on the gym and on your career. You know, I'm just become day by day more and more convinced that there's more to it. You know, there's a lot more to it than just those two things. And yeah, it's just not a very holistic way to go about life. You know, I think, you know, sure, you've had a bad experience with a girl, you know, sure, you're not where you want to be in your dating life. But, you know, let's take these three categories that we talked about today. You know, your dating life, the gym, your fitness, and your work. Those three things. You know, let's say someone just really wasn't having much success with their fitness. You know, they were just trying to get in good physique, and it just wasn't working, you know. And they said, you know what, I'm just going to give up on physique for now. I'm just going to focus on women and work, my career. Now, obviously, you know, it's a bit weird that someone would say that, but try and forget that for now. In principle, would you think that's a good idea? Now, I would say no. I would say, don't worry about that. Your focus should be on your weak area, which is your fitness, you know. Your career's going okay, you know. Your dating life's going okay, but your fitness is lacking. That's the thing you should put time into. Similarly, you know, someone gets fired from their job, you know, or their business falls through. Would they just say, you know what, I'm just going to give up on business. I'm going to give up on my field of work. I'm just going to focus on the gym and on my relationship with my wife. You know, you would say no, you just had an unlucky year with your business, you know. Start again, get back on the drawing boards. So why when it comes to relationships, why do we think it's acceptable for guys to just ignore their dating life and just focus on the gym and work? You know, why is that sort of combination socially acceptable? You know, I just think it's not very holistic. And sure, you're going to need to focus on sometimes you're going to have to just focus on certain things, and that's going to lead to sacrifices in other parts of your life. Like, I get that, you know. But if you're going to do that, don't choose your weak area, you know. And I think that's the thing. Most guys' lives, you know, their weak area is not the gym. You know, their weak area is not their work. You know, their weak area is the dating life. Certainly in the scenario that we're describing, where a guy's got dumps by his girlfriend, let's say, and he's like, right, I'm just going to hit the gym from now on. Like, usually the kind of guys who say that, you know, you can always improve more in your fitness, of course. But normally it's like, mate, you're doing fine on the fitness front. You know, you're doing fine on the job front. Your relationship is the thing that's causing you the pain. You know, work on that. Sacrifice something else. You know, sacrifice. You know, well, I mean, maybe you don't even need to sacrifice it. But if you're going to sacrifice it, rein it back on the work. You know, relax a little bit. You know, and put some effort instead into your dating life. Presuming you want a dating life, right? I mean, this is the other thing that I was going to say. Like, a lot of people will just say that they can do without girls, that they're not interested in them, and that's a kind of slightly separate topic. You know, people will just say, you know, I can't be bothered to have a girlfriend. You know, it's just too much effort. It's too much effort. You know, and it's like, all that money I could spend on a girl, I could just spend on my boys. You know, on a night out, or like, you know, or on a business. You know, but I'm spending it on a girl. Like, no, screw that. Like, that's what a lot of people say, right? But I don't know. I just kind of think with that, like, good luck with that, bro. Like, good luck with that, because I don't know. 90% of the time you can think like that, and that's fine. But I just always think you'll get a weak spot. You know, you'll get a moment where you're like, your soul is like crying out for that romantic love. You know, and then you'll just go back to repressing it again. You know, I just think it's so few people who genuinely don't want a partner. You know, I think most people do, and most people who say they don't, they're just lying to themselves. Now you might say, you know, I think we're too young. I'm too young to settle down. I should wait till later in life. Okay, you might not want to go out chasing women as such. But I think the thing is, says who? Who says you're too young, you know? I mean, once you're like 18, you know, historically speaking, it's like you're too old, if anything. You know, like, I think who says you need to worry about relationships later in life? You know, I think that's a silly way of looking at it. Like before, you know, the sort of sexual revolution and stuff, like, people just got married really early. You know, there are exceptions, of course. People did get married later in life, but you know, you just would, wouldn't you? You know, because that was kind of the setup. You know, so I just don't really buy that it's something that you should wait until later in life to do. Because I think you're going to need to get around to it at some point. You might as well just, you know, it's an important thing. It's going to be an important thing in your life, no question. So give it the time it deserves, you know. And yeah, so that's my attitude towards it. I mean, there's a kind of secondary question here that I haven't addressed at all, which is, okay, well, how do I improve my dating life? You know, all this kind of stuff, which is much more complicated. And I'm still doing a lot of discovery about it myself, so I don't want to focus too much on this video. I mean, this is the trouble. You know, a lot of guys don't really know how to improve their dating life. You know, and that's like kind of another reason why they ignore it, right? So you know, this isn't really a practical video; it's more a kind of mindset video. But if you are convinced by what I've said, you know, if I've sold you this perspective, what I would say honestly is like start journaling. It's just a starting block, you know. Start journaling what went wrong in the relationship, or what went wrong in, you know, what sort of thing. What's your sort of sticking points? You know, why are you unhappy about your dating life? Why aren't things going the way you want? You know, it's going to be that kind of stuff that's going to be... It feels very unproductive to do because we've just been sort of brainwashed that, you know, we have to be working at every, like, moment of the day. You know, like, sort of super hard. And, like, I'm not saying don't do that, but I think once you get a bit of space to think about this stuff, you actually think, like, no, it's not all about just grinding out in the gym and grinding out at work. Like, you do need to do the sort of softer side of things. If you want to really open up the possibility of a really good romantic relationship. I mean, that's the trouble. And I think, you know, a lot of self-improvement influencers would disagree with me, you know, or just influencers generally, people like Tate, people like First Man or Mike Thurston. But I think this is the funny thing, right? I just think a lot of those guys, they just haven't really dealt with their dating life themselves. I think really they're being barred from that part of their lives. You know, like obviously they've got lots of girlfriends that they sleep with and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just, having thought a bit about this stuff, I just see a podcast with Tate talking about his girlfriends or whatever. And I just think you haven't dealt with like that problem in your life, and you know, fair enough. Fair enough if that's what you want. But is that really what you want? You know, do you want Tate's life? You know, where you just got lots of, not hundreds, but like lots of casual girlfriends. You know, really? You know, probably not. Probably not. Like maybe you do, but I think most guys, they want something a bit more substantial. And like, you know, maybe I'm speaking out of place. You know, like, maybe there's stuff I don't know about Andrew Tate's dating life, but I don't know, the kind of impression I get from him a lot of the time is just like, I think like he's had bad relationships in his childhood, that maybe it goes back to his upbringing or whatever, and he's very scared about being emotionally vulnerable with a girl, you know, and that sort of locks him away from having a really deep, close, intimate relationship, which would be much better for him. You know, happy though he is with the setup he's got, you know. But you know, I don't want to sort of talk out of place about that because, you know, I don't really know what his deal is. But anyway, guys, yeah, thanks very much for watching. I hope there's something you can take away. I mean, I'm worried with this video that I'm kind of understanding the importance of like going to the gym and the importance of working. I'm not. You know, I think it's incredibly important to do those things. You know, to work hard on something you're passionate about. Like, you'll need to do those things as well, 100%. But I think this just intimate, like romantic side of your life, like intimate relationships, like you're gonna need to give them attention as well. You know, because they are so significant to your life as well. So I just think, you know, give them the attention they deserve. You know, obviously I haven't given very much practical stuff in this video, but I will do videos about that in the future. It's something that I'm really exploring myself. I mean, I've only just thought this up myself. You know, I've only started taking this side of self-improvement so seriously. So in the future, I think I will. I'll have more to say about this. But just for now, you know, if you are convinced, just go out on your own journey on it. You know, start journaling your thoughts about past relationships, and you know, like I say, it feels very unproductive to do to begin with, because you have to kind of relax your brain to really sort of get in there and like unlock those memories. Meanwhile, you know, which is kind of the opposite to what you're used to. You know, you're used to sort of tensing up at the gym or at work. You know, that's kind of, the more you tense up, the more productive you are. You know, but with this kind of thing, you'll start journaling. You'll start you need to be relaxed for it. So it's slightly weird. It's slightly counterintuitive, but I still think it's really important to do. And that's just a starting block. And you know, subscribe to my channel, and there'll be a whole flood of videos coming your way. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.